Hello and welcome to Coffee Conversations from the Coffee Shops. My name is Heidi Ellsworth, and we are here today to talk about something that is not talked about enough. Let's just be honest. And we are going to be talking about suicide prevention and veteran support and support for the construction industry, support for everyone right now. In crazy times, we need to be helping each other and our neighbors. So, welcome to Coffee Conversations. The Coffee Conversations is sponsored by SRS today. This is being recorded and it will be available within the next 24 to 48 hours. So please share this out there. Let people know what you saw. This is really an important message that we have today. So please, as much as you can, share this out on your social media, within your company. Let people know that we're having this conversation. Also, if you can know that the chat is open. So we want to have all of you chatting, asking questions, emojis, making comments, you name it. This is what a coffee conversation is all about. And as I said at the beginning, this is being sponsored by SRS, but also by Raise the Roof Foundation. Raise the Roof Foundation is the foundation of SRS. They are doing amazing, amazing work out there every single day, raising funds and helping not only the roofing industry, but veterans, families, children, everyone. You just blown away by what Raise the Roof does. So thank you so much for being the sponsor of this Coffee Conversations today. So we have an esteemed panel here today that I'm just humbled by, and I'm so happy to have them all here. So let's start with some introductions. First, I would like to introduce McKay Daniels. McKay, you've been on Coffee Conversations before. This one is probably one of the most important ones I think you and I have ever done. Thank you so much for being here today. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and NRCA?
Sure thing. First, thanks for having this conversation, Heidi. It is vitally important, and thanks for having me be a part of it. My name is McKay Daniels. I'm the CEO of NRCA. A little bit about my background. I didn't come up through the roofing industry. For better or worse, my winding road here today is via politics and government. 25 years in state houses, in Congress, and the U.S. Senate prior to coming to the industry. And what brought me to NRCA and to the roofing industry is it's very similar to what got me involved in government and politics to begin with, and that's to make a difference, to try to make the world a little bit better tomorrow than it is today. And that's what we at NRCA and our volunteer leadership and the staff of about 60 or so work to do each and every day to try to make the roofing industry a little bit better tomorrow than it is today, to make contractors' worlds a little bit easier, to solve problems, to give ideas, to share best practices. And that's why this conversation is vitally important, because this is an issue that's affecting the industry greatly. So very excited to be a part of it. It is a heavy day and a heavy topic, but it's an important one. So thanks for doing it.
Yeah, it really is. Thank you, McKay, so much for everything you do. You and the team, the staff, and the board of directors, everyone at NRCA is rising the industry and bringing everyone together. So it's so important. I am also very excited to introduce Jacob Schick, who is with One Foundation, very active with Raise the Roof. Jacob, thank you so much. We are so happy to have you here. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your foundation.
Sure, thanks for having me. Honored to be here on this day of remembrance from 24 years ago. I think it's important that that's voiced. Obviously, we're the gatekeepers to their legacies by living well every day. So, something that we should do, especially as Americans, and lead from the front. But I am a third generation combat Marine. I was severely wounded conducting combat operations in the Sunni Triangle of Iraq in September 2004, so almost 21 years ago. I spent 18 months in the hospital. I've had over 50 operations, 23 blood transfusions, and was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury, which is what led to starting an organization called 22 Kill that resulted in the push-up challenge to raise awareness for the suicide epidemic amongst warriors. And we've since evolved into One Tribe Foundation, meaning the human tribe. And we're a full-blown mental and emotional wellness organizations that works with military veterans, first responders, law enforcement officers, and frontline healthcare workers to include their families in all things mental and emotional wellness through both traditional and non-traditional therapies.
Jacob, thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you've done and this foundation that is bringing so much hope for so many people. And thank you so much for being here today to share the message and be part of that conversation. So
Honored to
important.
do it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, one of the leaders in the roofing industry when it comes to mental health, my dear friend Mandy McIntyre. Mandy, welcome, and please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you for putting this together. Excuse my voice. It's allergy season here in Cleveland, Ohio, and it's just taken a hold of me. But hi, I'm Mandy. I'm the founder of Level Up Consultants based here in Cleveland. We focus on mental health, speaking engagements, workshops, trainings, anything to make your team, the industry, happy, healthy, thriving. I come from roofing. I was with a roofing contractor for about 10 years and really involved with National Women in Roofing. I'm on the board of directors. I've worked with the NRCA to really raise awareness and really transition that awareness to more of an action now, that a lot more people are more familiar with the struggle of mental health in this industry. So bringing everyone together today really starts taking us in that right direction, moving towards action when it comes to mental health in this industry.
It does. It does. And you really were one of the first people to start this conversation. One of the first people to talk to me. You came to us. We've actually had you on Coffee Conversations before talking about mental health and suicide. This is, I think, our second or third Coffee Conversations. And so and it's not stopping. We're going to keep it going. So speaking of conversation, I want to make sure everyone knows that chat is open. I already see many people in there. George Daisy, hello. A lot of folks are on. Lorna, thank you so much. Please, this is a conversation. Bring your conversation. Talk to us. Steve Spence, I see you there. Thank you all. I am going to do one thing right now, and we are going to have a moment of silence for everybody for 9/11. 24 years ago, I was in Chicago when this happened. I think every single person on this call can remember exactly where they were on that day too. So just a quick moment, remembrance of our first responders and all the people who were a part of that great tragedy. Thank you, everybody, on this day of remembrance. I appreciate you all. So let's talk. We told you this is going to be a little heavy topic today, but here we go. We're going to make this a conversation and bring it out. So, right now, what is the difference? Why is suicide prevention such an important issue in the roofing industry and construction overall? McKay, I would love for you to really start us off and talk about what the NRCA has been seeing and really what brought this to the top to really start having the conversation, because it's always been there. It's just we've been a little silent.
Right. And that's well said. It's not that this is a new issue. It's that we've failed to do our part to talk about it and bring it up. And personally, it came about a year and a half, 2 years ago at this point, where in very quick succession, conversations with two of our members who lost people from their teams to suicide, and then NRCA, a very active member, a leader within the industry, who was active within NRCA and had been involved for some time, died by suicide. And that's, at least for me, where it's one thing to hear statistics, and I'm a nerd, I'm a policy guy, and admittedly I get lost in statistics. And it's one thing to have that and hear numbers that are devastating, but it's another to see it firsthand and to have meetings in May where you're sitting next to somebody And then in September, that person is gone. And it crystallized that we collectively, as an industry, as a one tribe, as Jacob would say, need to be doing more. And so since then, especially NRCA has really tried to activate this on this issue, to talk about it. That's step one, kind of as Mandy mentioned. It's raising awareness for step one, and we're going to continue to do that. We have a long ways to go, but it is a silent epidemic that's going through our industry, and we need to bring it out of the shadows. So that's why we're involved. And part of our mission and focus is to do things that, if not us, then who? And this is one of those topics. So
I love that. That's so true. It's so true. We all need to step forward and have that conversation. And Jacob, we are in roofing very proud of all of our veterans. We have so many veterans who work within the roofing industry and in construction overall. But this isn't just roofing construction. And it's not just veterans. This is an overall epidemic within our society. But you really have at high risk are veterans. And then when they come in the construction industry, again, high risk, a lot of, you know, moments that put a lot of pressure on them, high risk, especially in roofing. What are some of the things that you are seeing around really having the conversation, and what your foundation has been able to do to really start getting people to talk about it?
Yeah, thanks for the question. And I mean, it's no secret the construction industry has been significantly plagued by the act of suicide in recent years, and seems to be trending upward. So, what we have found at our work at One Tribe is that, these aren't specific issues to veterans and military and first responder LEO or even roofing. Like, these are human issues. And what we found while doing the awareness campaign for the 22 kill push-up challenge was, you're not going to change anything without awareness or education first. If people don't know about it, it's impossible to change it. The saying that knowledge is power is a half truth. Knowledge becomes truly powerful when it's shared. And that's what we've tried to do with our foundation. Really, what we've tried to do is figure out the various ways through emerging therapies and development of community of bringing people together and empowering them as opposed to labeling them. Because society does a tremendous job all by itself labeling individuals specifically who are struggling from the neck up. And furthermore, what we have found is that people that come from high stress environments and positions in the military that try and transition into the civilian sector, the demons are already there.
Yeah.
But I think in large part from everything we've done and everything we've studied and all the things we've been a part of is that majority of those demons were also there before they put on a camouflage uniform and experienced high stress situations in the military. I mean, the vast majority of people that we've served and helped through their mental and emotional wellness journey and healing forward have unaddressed childhood trauma. And I think that that's something that cannot be overshadowed. It's something that cannot be looked past. I mean, I've spoken all over the world. I mean, from warriors to professional athletes to schools, to you name it. And I've yet to meet the person that was like, no, I had a pretty solid childhood. I mean, it was, nothing I can really think about that really affected me ever. But I was raised the same way most people on this call was raised. Like, hey, that really bad thing that happened, let's not talk about it. You'll be okay. Let's just move forward. And that's strictly from fear of judgment and ridicule. When I know now in my adult life that what anyone else thinks about me is none of my damn business. I mean, I could care less. It's not going to dictate how I do my today or my tomorrow. And I think that's something that we have to do as a society, whether it comes to professions and roofing and construction, or it goes to ER nurses or doctors or teachers or so on and so forth, that we understand that pain and suffering sucks. It's the one thing we can all agree on. The
Yeah.
one thing. Everything else would probably be differing of opinion, right? I mean, and everybody's entitled to it, especially here in the great United States of America. So I feel like what we're seeing is that people are getting more open to talking about it and accepting the fact that asking for help is actually the strong thing to do as opposed to the cowardly thing to do. And
Yeah.
so that's what we have to continue to encourage, to let people know that, hey, listen, we're human beings. We're herd animals. We're not meant to do this thing alone. We're meant to do it with other human beings.
I love that. I think that's so true. And when you look across, it doesn't matter. It's one tribe. I love what you've brought together and how you've done that. And Mandy, I kind of want to, same thing, what you've seen, you've actually experienced this with other contractors and talking to people. Talk a little bit about what you have seen with people starting to, in the last, 3, 4, 5 years, as you've been in the industry, starting to have the conversation. How has that happened, and what are still the challenges?
Uh, the awareness level has risen greatly, right? We have things such as Construction Suicide Prevention Week. We have the NRCA on board with these initiatives. And so people are much more aware than they were even 3 years ago. You're seeing mental health toolbox talks be utilized more. You're seeing it addressed in safety summits. It's addressed at the IRE. The last couple of years, I spoke at the IRE about mental health in construction. You have organizations such as Roofers in Recovery. So it's starting to take shape, right, in the industry. And again, I think the struggle really is now, okay, more people are aware of it. I think most people are aware of the issues now. Maybe not all the details and the statistics, however, they're aware. And I think the next step really is that action, getting some training involved, getting a peer buddy system, getting, an EAP if you don't have something, and really making sure that people continue the conversations and are equipped to have the conversations, and also feel confident and empowered to help themselves and help others when a mental health challenge or crisis starts to arise.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is suicide or construction suicide week. We saw that slide earlier, and it really is we're finding that everyone across the board is starting to talk about it and talk about it in construction. One of the things in construction that we know, and I keep saying construction just because this is the coffee shops and that's where we are, but this is overall with everyone, but is one of the things that attribute to this is substance abuse. And we are seeing, with alcohol, pain medication, and that's from years. I mean, years of let's go have a beer after work or during work or whatever it may be, and trying to change that. And then that leading to mental health, leading to the possibilities of suicide. Mandy, can you talk just a little bit about that, about the substance abuse part of it and how, or the substance disorder, how that's
Yeah.
really affecting this too?
Well, in construction, anyone working in construction, the substance use disorder rates are about double the national averages. Alcohol use rates are about triple national averages. So the people that are struggling are in this industry. Some of the reasons, there's a few. The body is the tool for many people in this industry. And so you get acute pain from isolated incidents, you get chronic pain, and that leads to toxic coping mechanisms to deal with that pain if not taking, a proper healthy pain management system. But even if you do, we all have heard of the opioid crisis. There was plenty of people who tried to do the right thing and became addicted because it's almost impossible not to. We have in this industry 7 times more likely, you are 7 times more likely to die from an opioid overdose than other industries. So, with the body being the tool, that's a big thing. And then just the stress and the stigma and the fear of having any type of trauma or mental health challenge. And we're not teaching our people how properly in a healthy way manage that. So drugs and alcohol come into play. And so we kind of have the perfect storm here of people using drugs and alcohol, and the statistics prove it. So it's really now, again, taking that action step, supporting people in recovery, enhancing access to recovery, and really being vocal about supporting the people that need to get the help to be happy, healthy, thriving.
Yes. Jacob, you talked about this when we talked ahead of time about this, and you guys are doing a lot to help bring this awareness of substance use disorder.
Yeah, I mean, look, speaking as a recovering alcoholic addict myself, I went into the Marine Corps clean and sober. I definitely got out a government issued drug addict, and it wasn't anybody's fault. I mean, you can't go through what my body physically went through and then not be dependent upon some form of medication just to help you get through the day without being in level of pain that's undescribable. But unfortunately, also at the same time, not only the fact that I'm a United States Marine, but it's just in my bloodline is I suck at doing anything in moderation, good, bad, or indifferent. It's all gas or I don't show up, and so that comes with drugs and alcohol. Look, I got off drugs and alcohol's right there to catch my fall, and I did that really well for a long time. And look, I led this organization as an alcoholic addict. And just like a lot of the people we're talking about, I was just happened to be a very high functioning one. But that doesn't make it okay, right? I mean, when I'm home with my wife and my sons, I like to physically, mentally, and emotionally be home. There's a difference in being home and being present. And so for me, I pride myself on being present every single day. And so, as an alcoholic addict in recovery, I understand. I understand why people go out of their way to get numb because it's better to be numb than to feel anything. Because they haven't done the work to exorcise the demons that reside in their soul in order to evict them. And that's the only way, right? I mean, everybody we work with, there's one thing I tell them: I promise pain. There will be pain. And everything you want is right on the other side of that. But you have to have the courage to stare it down and walk through it. It's a scary thing because it's fear of the unknown, right? It's a journey that you don't often see. So that's why people get comfortable in their cesspool of misery. And there's a reason that the saying goes that misery loves company, and they try and pull other people in it because they don't want to be there lonely. Because as we learned during the pandemic, people don't understand, and they need to. There is a vastly different it it couldn't possibly be more different. There's a major difference between being alone and lonely. Those are two completely different things. And I think unfortunately what we're finding now with our people in this country, regardless of their profession, is there's a lot of people that live in a house full of other people that are their families that are completely lonely. And we have to understand how to meet that with empathy and sympathy and talk to them in a way that is not going to make them tuck tail and run. Again, this is about empowerment, right? I mean, we know from the work we've done over the past 13 years that, and this is in no particular order, that relationships, finances, and self-medication ultimately lead to the act of suicide, right? And one often is directly connected to the other. I've buried 34 of my friends who've died by suicide. I know 8 that were killed in combat. I've been doing this a long time. And we're at a point where, I have a hard time addressing anything with fluff. I don't have time for that. Um, I'm not necessarily worried about what people think about our approach or how I approach things. Frankly, I don't give a damn. I'm past the friend making stage of my life. So if you like me, great. If you don't, great. It's not going to really affect my day to day. I have my circle. And here's the thing. Until we're ready to really bring this to the forefront, and it's going to start at the top in a lot of ways. It's going to have to start with the heads of a lot of these different companies and entities, empowering these employees to say, hey, it's okay to not be okay. that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. And what we've seen with a lot of the departments we work with is, and a lot of the companies we've worked with is, you know, it's hard to be in a boardroom and look around the table and say, well, you're the problem. It's not fun. But until we are going to be open and honest, devoid of fear and judgment in this fight, I'll see you guys on this meeting a year from now, because I'll
Yeah.
tell you right now that not a lot will change. We have to be willing to lead from the front, right? We have to be willing to lead from the front, knowing we are going to be judged and ridiculed and shamed and all those things, all the societal things. They're going to happen, I promise. But that means odds are you're doing something worth doing that by default should be hard.
And okay, this is a perfect time. I'm saying I'm gonna because Jacob, you are 100. I mean, you already know this. You're 100% right. And one of the things I'm so proud of is that the NRCA, as our National Roofing Contractors Association, they have stepped forward. They've stepped forward. We have some information here, but I would like to play the video that the NRCA put together because it addresses Jacob, you set it up perfect. It addresses exactly what you're talking about. Here we go.
We don't just work hard. We climb higher, push harder, get the job done. No excuses. We don't quit. Don't show weakness. We say we can handle anything, because that's what it means to be a roofer. We're built tough, but are we tough enough to admit when it's too much? Strong enough to say, I need help. Brave enough to face what we're feeling, to say we're worried, struggling, hurt. Because what if behind every nail we drive, every roll we kick out, there's something wearing us down on the inside, and we just don't show it? Substance abuse and suicide claim more roofing lives than job site accidents. We lose more to silence than to falls. But there's hope, there's support, there's help. Because everyone stumbles, but nobody should carry the burden alone. Be tough enough to ask for help today.
So that video makes me teary. That video was put together by the NRCA to help do exactly what Jacob's talking about, to start having the conversations. And we have a lot of questions and a lot of great comments here. And I'm going to bring this back to you, McKay. But I want to just acknowledge some of these because Steve Spence, who is with Project Map It and a partner with Roofers in Recovery, and also Paul Reed, who runs Roofers in Recovery, who we didn't have here today. We've had him on several times. They do a wonderful job on this. But the question out here is, we talk about stats a lot, but what are we doing? What are we doing? And Tony Radar also made a comment about, several associations like the NRCA are focused on this, bringing in English and Spanish, and we need to all work together, possibly with manufacturers, with distributors, with everyone kind of reaching out to make this all happen. And Karen, of course, put the NRCA, thank you, Karen Edwards, information out there. So McKay, this is what you're doing. You guys, this is not just a talk. You are walking the talk. You're providing resources. Talk about what the NRCA is doing and how people can get involved.
Yes, and it's not, NRCA is pushing it and trying to lead from the front, as Jacob says, or be a tip of the spear, but it is an industry-wide effort. We're partnered with the folks at Informa and IRE to get more resources and information out there in every registration bag. Different manufacturers have helped provide footage for that video, for example, and spreading the information to their employees. Karen posted in the chat the link, but an easier one to remember is betoughenoughh.org. And it will take you to this page that's online right now, betoughenoughh.org. And Tony, the video link is there on that page. You can stream it on YouTube. The video via social media, my past life in politics means I make up numbers sometimes. So I'm trying to wean myself from that. But maybe my communications team will bang on the wall, but it's been viewed via social media tens of thousands of times. and it's English and Spanish to get the message out there. On that site, people can request hard hat stickers. That 988 circle that you're seeing there on the screen is a hard hat decal. And when I talk about this out on the road, folks don't know that there's a 911 for suicide, if you will. And so raising that awareness has been encouraging. And we've had 20,000 requests for those stickers. You can go on our site. There's no cost. We pay for the postage and the shipping to get them to you. You can ask for as many as you want, and we will print more if we run out, because we don't view this isn't an NRCA thing. This isn't an NRCA member versus non-member thing. This is an industry-wide effort. And so we're just trying to put the information in a place that those that are ready can go and access it. You can lead a horse to water type of thing, but it does take leaders at the top of these companies to go and say, you know what, our talk next Tuesday or next rain day, we're going to talk about this. And that is incredibly difficult. I call myself the human buzzkill when I'm going to industry events, because it's always a lot of high energy rah-rah, and here I come talking about heavy stuff. But to a meeting every single time without fail for over a year now, when I go and talk about it, somebody comes up afterwards and pulls me aside and says, thank you for talking about this. And then they share their story, and a lot of it may be them personally. A lot of times it's a loved one. That's why on our website as well are also resources. I think it's labeled for everyone. It's not just for construction, but teenagers today, spouses, cousins, nieces, nephews. This is a human condition issue that we're working through. So we're trying to present that information as well to help not just roofing contractor companies and owners and workers, but those and their families. But the stories that people share reach into your heart and say, what can we do more? What can we do faster? How can we bigger, faster, better, because there is more to do. And I don't want us to be here a year from now having the exact same conversation. This is no easy fix. There's no single silver bullet like fall protection or other roofing safety training. This is a complex, complicated issue, but that doesn't stop us and relieve us of the responsibility of leading on it and pushing on it and trying to move that needle as best we can. So betoughenoughh.org, and there's resources for workers, for company owners. The Mandy's company, for example, is listed. There's other training. It's not just awareness, it's training and resources. NRCA is exploring partnering with the Living Works is on there, trying to get training classes for the industry for free. I think we haven't talked about it yet, but coming up in, is it 2 weeks, Mandy? September 25th.
Yes.
There is a mental health first aid class that's taking place. Oh, thanks for putting it up there.
Yeah.
There is a fee for that, but if you are watching today, if you shoot me a note, my email is mdaniels@nrca.net, mdaniels@nrca.net. Shoot me a note, and NRCA will cover your registration for this course. A number of our team have taken it, and a number of people in the industry have taken it, and Mandy's a pro. And you or your teams will be well served by having that training, because it is, raising awareness is important, but after that step, we do need to take the training and education aspect and really try to equip the leaders of the industry, top to bottom, all throughout. Leaders happen on the roof every day with a title or without a title. So equipping leaders in this industry with the tools and resources that they can help their brothers in arms, right?
Right. I think it's really important to point out too, when did you said it was a year and a half ago, right? McKay, that and Be Tough Enough, when did that come out? Just this last year?
Yes, roughly a year ago. We did it for suicide awareness, suicide prevention month last year. We pushed to get it out, and then IRE following that. And so it's roughly a year, for example, that we've been doing the hard hat stickers, and to have 20,000 go out
Yeah.
to the industry. It speaks to it speaks to the heart and soul of this one tribe. I'm just going to keep stealing
Right.
Mandy and Jacob's lines.
Yeah.
It speaks to the heart and soul of this group, right?
Yeah.
These aren't just our employees, these aren't just our colleagues. That these are people that we've oftentimes worked with for decades. We
Yeah.
know them at a human level, and we care about them at a human level, and we want them to be happy, healthy, and secure. And so it's in the darkness, there are signs of hope, and they radiate quite brightly. And so it's important, I think, to focus on that as well, that it is there is progress, there is movement, and we're going to keep at it.
And so when we look at year over year, there have been, from when I look at probably the first one we had 3 years ago when we were talking about mental health and suicide, a lot you've stepped up. NRCA has stepped up. And I want to just say how many other organizations continue to step up to really bring this information to the forefront. And I do want to we have some great conversation going on in the chat. And George Daisy, he has made so many cool comments for all of you. But he said to Jacob, thank you, Jacob, for being so transparent and sharing your journey. I think that's so important. And thank you, George. And they love the video. But I do want to, we had a couple questions down here that I want to make sure. And this was from Steve. Are there programs out there, I think Paul is trying to do this or is, where a roofing company can request training, education around this with their entire team, where they can come to the company to get educated? Obviously you see that on the screen, but Mandy, I would love for you to talk a little bit, because I know we also have Lorna on this call.
Yes.
You and Lorna are offering these kind of classes, this kind of education in both Spanish and English.
Yes. So what we do at Level Up, we do mental health first aid training. And what we've done is we've taken that training through the National Council for Mental Wellbeing and tailored it towards roofing and construction. So the scenarios that we work with are all like job site based. All of the examples are construction based. So we really tailored it to the industry. And with mental health first aid, we do it virtually. You can do it on site. It's an 8-hour training. And I realized that, not everyone can pull everyone out of, off the job site for a full day. So we came up with a condensed version called the ACE Mental Health Program, which stands for Advocate, Communicate, Educate. It's 3 hours. You can do it in person, you can do it virtually, and it's much more equitable for more people to gain access to that training and have the skills, the confidence, the resources to help themselves and help each other. We also do workshops. We do safety summits, speaking engagements. So a variety of things we can do on site and virtually to get the knowledge and the education to everyone out there.
Yeah, it is. It is so important. And I will say, Mandy is also one of our influencers and works with our art club and has done several peer forums to talk about this, where actually people can start talking to each other about mental health and how the toolbox talks, all the different things that go along with that. But Jacob, one of the things that I wanted to kind of ask you, and I think this is important as we talk about it, is your advice. And I'm going to ask all three of you, but I'm going to start with Jacob. Your advice to foremen, supervisor, business owners out there on what to look for. What are the signs? What are the things that they should be open and then start having these conversations before terrible things happen? What is some of your advice?
Uh, first and foremost, my advice would be to make sure you're completely in love with the person staring back at you in the mirror. That's my first step of advice. I think that there's too many people in various positions that I've been told so many times I don't understand why my husband won't love me the way I love him, or my wife, or my son, or my daughter, so on and so forth. And I tell them to turn around and look at this full length mirror in my office, and there's a reason it's there, and say, are you completely in love with that person staring back at you? And just by their hesitation and silence, I know the answer, and I'm batting 1,000 on this one, by the way. And when I tell them to look at me and tell them, the fact that you expect other people to do for you what you can't do for yourself is the height of hypocrisy. In the words of Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, who's a world-renowned trauma psychologist, in order to heal and grow forward, you've got to forgive yourself for everything you've done in order to survive at the point you find yourself right now in your life. It's fact, right? I mean, we have generational trauma at the molecular level flowing through our body that we get passed on. And so for me, it's one of those things that you really need to focus on self-care and healthy selfish. That's okay. You got to take care of yourself, and you got to be able to recharge your batteries. Otherwise, you have the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
Which in this industry, it results in a lot of problems. And in humankind, it results in a lot of problems. And I feel like I could sit here and tell you some of the signs, right? And I could tell you from our question persuade refer training that we do all over, and I could sit here and tell you all those things. But I've also had a lot of last conversations not knowing at all that I was having a last conversation, right? And so for me, unless you're truly in tune with you, you're probably going to struggle seeing any type of anything in anybody else that should raise a red flag. You have to be in lockstep with your own mental and emotional wellness first. When I say lead from the front, I'm talking about starting with yourself. Because your people are only going to be as strong as you are. That's the way it goes. And so I think a way to really mitigate this horrendous epidemic and suicide amongst any class of people is by leading from the front, making sure that you in a leadership position are willing to find victory in your vulnerability while refusing to be a hostage to your pride. And morale is everything. Without high morale, you have nothing. And so it's important to make sure that you're taking care of your people well outside of the job, whatever it may be. Because we all go home to families and bills and stress and all types of things. And we got to remember that, we all have lives outside of our lives. And those absolutely come into play. It happens too often that men and women go home and they take their baggage with them. And that's where post-traumatic stress becomes contagious. And so we've got to stop that too. We've got to be able to have the ability and the discipline and the tools in our toolbox to leave those issues at the door. And so I think it's really important, again, just in my very long-winded answer, to go back to it, it starts with self. Starts with self. If you can't look in the mirror and be 100% honest with yourself, then don't try and go do something for somebody else that you can't do for yourself. Because I promise you, it's going to end badly.
That just rings so true as a business owner myself. And really, it starts at the top with culture and listening. And when you're watching someone and you're like, this isn't normal behavior. This is not how they usually go. Or even if they do, this isn't right. Being able to look at yourself in the mirror first, make sure you're where you're at, and then being able to sit down and give that empathy and ask those questions, even when it's hard to ask those questions. And McKay, I think, really when we talked about how this all started, we know there was just tragedies, and these tragedies are from ownership all the way to people working in the field. And so when your advice is you're talking to owners out there, I think what Jacob just said is, look in the mirror first. That just profound. But talk a little bit about what you're seeing overall in the industry and your advice for people listening right now on how they can get in front of this or get themselves going and then get in front of it.
Right. I talked with a contractor who shared their story, an owner, about a year ago, where they had taken some courses, kind of like what we're talking about, to raise awareness, and they commented how an employee who was a rock star, right, gold star employee, long time with the company, just started falling off, and this contractor was talking about how in their past lens they would have, oh, they're a screw up, they're a disaster, can them, get them out of here, and kick them to the curb, and that would have been the innate response. But given the awareness classes, training, et cetera, that this owner had brought to their company, he brought the installer in and talked with them in his office. And after, just a couple of minutes, this installer just breaks down in tears in this guy's office. And the person needed to know I could talk. It was safe. Somebody cared about me, and have that mental safety to be able to share and know that the person cares, right? That this my colleague, my peer, my supervisor cares about me as a person. Gallup, the polling company, does this thing called the Q12. Some of you may be familiar with it. A number of roofing shops use it, big and small. And it measures employee satisfaction and engagement with the company. And it's just 12 questions, but 2 of them relate really, really acutely to what we're talking about. One is, my supervisor or somebody at work seems to care about me as a person, not a cog in a wheel, not a machine part just to get stuff done, but cares about me as a person. And then another one of the questions that's asked is, I have a best friend at work. And being able to get somebody to say yes to both of those sets that framework, sets that groundwork to be able to have a difficult conversation, to have that employee come and share what's going on in their world and have that openness. So that was a equally long-winded answer to your question, but in short, we're trying to change the mindset, change the culture within. Starts at individuals, like Jacob's talking about, at the individual level, then to the team level, company level, and industry wide. But by equipping with more knowledge and information so that they can do better tomorrow.
I think yes. And I'm exactly what you're saying. And it's hard to be that one person too, to really step forward and say, this is, and Mandy, I know you've worked with a lot, and I don't know if you've read in the chat, Lindsay's comment, Lindsay Hull, again, one of my favorite people out there. Lindsay, that story you just shared in the chat, incredibly powerful. And it was about, it kind of goes back to what you were saying, McKay, of getting everybody, but in a room, I'm going to just share this if you aren't reading in the chat, but in a room, they were saying we should have mental health support groups. We should be doing this. We should be helping. And as they went around the room, everyone said, no, it's not necessary. We don't need that. It's okay. And that weekend, one of the people in that room committed suicide. And I know, Mandy, you have been in that situation. I know you've been in that situation when you've been in meetings and people are like, this is not necessary. And then it comes through. What is your advice to people who, like what Lindsay's saying here about being that one person, and that there was one person in the room who feels guilty to this day that they should have been that one person to speak up?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Lindsay, for sharing that. And I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. I think the biggest thing here is, all right, in this industry, we talk about safety so much. There are so many measures in place for safety protocols. Mental health is a legitimate safety concern for so many reasons. Number one being it's actually the number one killer of people in this industry, more than any other job, more than job site fatalities, right? If someone's head isn't in the game, they're much more likely to cause an accident, cause an injury, put their team at risk. It takes more than a hard hat to keep a head safe, right? We enforce hard hats, we enforce fall protection to prevent the injury or the tragedy. And we have to start putting mental health in that same category of safety in a proactive, preventative measure. Don't wait until tragedy strikes to start putting these things together in place in your organizations. Try to prevent that. And so that's where toolbox talks come into play. That's where education and resources come into play. That's where knowing what 988 is. For anyone on the call that doesn't know or maybe is aware of 988, you don't have to be the person suffering to utilize it. So you can call for somebody else. It's such a great resource. I have used it. So if you have some ideas, somebody may be going through something, you don't know what to do, contact 988 to help that person. So it's good to promote that. And then the other thing I do want to say, while I have this little minute here, the biggest myth out there with suicide is that people think asking the question directly will push that person in the direction. People are afraid to even say the word suicide, when the fact is asking a person directly will serve as a deterrent. And so that is why suicide, it's one of the most preventable deaths out there, okay? And not enough people are comfortable having these conversations because they're awkward, they're scary, they're horrible, right? No one feels comfortable talking about suicide with somebody else. And that's why it's such a problem. So we have to start having these conversations, asking directly and saying the words if we're going to make any changes.
So true. Jacob, I would just love some of your thoughts on all of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're both right. It's here's the issue that I have with what we've been doing. For example, One Tribe Foundation is that we've taken people based on their profession and put them in a categorical box, which ultimately states that, well, your pain and suffering is more important or special compared to other people's pain and suffering. When in all actuality, pain and suffering is pain and suffering is pain and suffering. There's no Richter scale on it. It can't be measured, right? And so we're taking away the relatability from different demographics of people. And instead, we're just further segregating people from people when we need to bring people together. I mean, I don't know if anybody's noticed or not. We're very, very divided in this super wealthy, industrialized, free country that we live in. We need unity.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to find common ground in order to really embrace said unity. Because last time I checked, in this country, you can disagree with someone and still love them. But we're being told otherwise. Well, don't think that doesn't trickle all the way down to the everyday person that's just going to work every day, trying to keep their lights on and their water running and their rent paid. And if it's going to just continuously get harder, well, I mean, we got to look at other places of why that is. We're all human beings. We all bleed red. So we're all connected by default. I mean, so all of us need to be willing to empower everybody around us, not just at your workplace, not just everywhere, all the time. It's like we tell our sons, hey, leadership is a 24/7 thing, not a when it's convenient for you thing. And your integrity and your character are built when nobody's watching, when there's no fanfare. Right? And so, I mean, I think until, I don't want to be here a year from now either having the same conversation. I've been doing this for 13 years.
Yeah.
The 3 years before I started this, I worked at the Center for Brain Health and Brain Performance Institute, where I learned, hey, we are vastly behind in brain health, where we are with heart health. And this is the most important weapon any of us will ever possess. So we've got to get busy, getting busy and being fruitful. I mean, that's the thing, is like anyone can be busy. Very few people today are actually fruitful. The whole point of this life is to thrive, not just survive. Some days you're gonna just survive, and that's okay, right? But the point is to thrive. And so until we really embrace that, and we bear down on that, and we bear down on, hey, we're all just people trying to make it. I mean, aren't we supposed to leave this place better than we found it? Isn't that the point?
Yes.
Yeah. So then what the hell are we doing?
Right. Well, I it's a whole nother conversation, Jacob, too, that I'm like going, yes. I mean, I agree. And it's just, it really is the foundation of what we're talking about and of where we need to go. I want to, I just looked down and I'm again always amazed at how fast these hours go. So we had some great questions in here, really just on, how do we get more people involved? How do we get more distributors involved? Are they already involved? So I would like to make sure we answer that because they are involved. And obviously today, SRS, they put their money where their mouth is. They sponsor these kind of conversations. They are out there with Raise the Roof, giving back, but it's all of the industry. And so McKay, just real quick, when we go, we're going to be going in a month or so to the NRCA meetings. You have all of the top manufacturers, distributors, one voice, folks there, and you talk about this every time. How are you bringing all of them together to continue this messaging?
I do talk about it every time. And we also have all of the question about other organizations and associations, all of the state and regional and local roofing associations,
Yes.
FRSA, Western States, pick your group. They have representatives at these meetings as well. And we talk about it with them every single time and asking them, what can we do more to help? The crux of your question is the to-do list is very long and our packs are all very heavy. What can we do to spread the load around a little bit to go faster and get through this to-do list as quickly as we can? Because it's much too long to do by ourselves or without working together. And again, to the heart of the industry, everybody has said, yes, what more can we do anytime that they're asked. And I'll bookend it. That goes full circle back to your opening moment of silence about 9/11, that 24 years ago, when a plane hit the Pentagon, this industry rallied together to say, we want to repair this iconic building. We want to give back and do our part to try to repair a wound in this country. And the industry rallied together to rebuild the Pentagon roof within a year. And that doesn't happen on any government projects. And did it for free. It was a donation to the country. And we're in a similar place now. It's not a single moment that we are rallying behind. It's not a single instant that we're trying to come together and unite to try to move to improve things like it was 24 years ago. But it's still a crisis that we need to pull together and work together. And it continues to be inspiring every time talking with somebody, because they're all in, and they're every group, big or small. What can we do? And that speaks to the industry.
So true. Oh, I'm so inspired. If you came on late, there's going to be a mental health first aid for roofing. It's going to be September 25th. Mandy's going to be running that. McKay has his email or up further in the chat, or we can get that to you. You have my email. And if you are interested in going, NRCA is going to cover the cost for you. So just make sure this is the to-do, right? We're awareness and then action. This is the action right here on what to do. And then for the 988 stickers, betoughenoughh.org is where you can get the 988 stickers. You can also, if you go onto NRCA and look for that, here you go. You can find all of this and get those stickers too. Let's continue this conversation. Jacob, Mandy, McKay, I have chills. Thank you. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your time today. I can't tell you how much it means. Thank you.
Thank you,
Heidi.
Thank you guys, and thank you SRS and Raise the Roof. Great companies that are definitely leading from the front.
Here.
Definitely. And thank you, SRS and Raise the Roof. We love you. Thank you for being a part of this conversation, and really not just being a part of it, being at the tip, making it happen from the very top. It is awesome. Please join us for our next coffee conversations. We have a lot of great conversations coming up, and the next one is about fleet management. I mean, It's going to be a little bit more, but it's just as a tough conversation, taking care with insurance and everything else that's going on with fleet management. Please join us for that on September 18th. I wish you all a great day, and in remembrance, 9/11. Thank you so much for being here today. We'll be seeing you next time.